Hi! Today's video I wanted to talk about an interview that I've recently been to. It's for Haven, so it's the site that's nearest to me, which is Carla Gran. I just thought it'd be nice to talk about the process. For anyone out there who's maybe not been to many interviews or is just getting to that stage in their life where they're starting to go to job interviews, might be insightful in some ways. It might give you a few tips as to what to expect on the day, so hope you enjoy. Also, this video I'm actually filming on my phone instead of my camera because the camera that I've got is not very good quality and the picture's a bit naff, the sound isn't great. The only thing I really like about that camera is that it's got a flip screen, so obviously I can see myself when I'm filming, but apart from that, so I thought today I'm going to change it up. I'm going to see what it's like filming it on my phone. So the way that I found this job was online through Indeed, which is the app that I use. I've sort of always used it and find it's the most kind of reliable and it has the most selection on there for jobs. Disclaimer, this isn't paid for or anything, it's just my personal opinion. So I applied online and then got an email back inviting me for an interview. So the next step was to then obviously go in for the interview. I'd also recommend before going, even if you do think it sounds a bit old-fashioned or you don't really need to bother doing it, but it is a good way to show your interest and actually put a bit of effort in. So what I normally do is research a bit about the company. So I would look up when they first were created or established. I'd also look up who the people were that created it or founded it. I'd also look up what their kind of aims are as a company, what they strive for, what they aim to do. Maybe also a bit about their target audience, so if it's a specific brand, who they normally try to attract or reach out to. And a good place to start for this is always on the company's website. You can always just search for the company on Google, and more often than not that comes up with a few facts about the company, basically what I've listed already. It's always a good idea to double check any emails you've received from them because they'll often tell you what you might need to bring on the day. So you might need a CV, you might need your passport, you might need a national insurance number. So that's always good to double check and make sure you do have everything before you leave for your interview. And outfit wise, it's always good to dress quite smart. Try and avoid just jeans and t-shirt because that doesn't look very professional. I often go for a black skirt with a pastel blouse tucked in and then with tights and maybe some boots as well. This is what my outfit normally looks like for an interview. It's always good to show you're a positive person, smiling, making eye contact, maybe even shake the person's hand. Show that you're actually excited to be there and interested in the position that you're applying for. So most interviews I've been to, they usually ask similar sort of questions. So as long as you have a rough idea of what you might say in certain situations, certain questions, then you should be alright. But there are often times where they might throw a random question at you and you've got to think on the spot, so you've kind of got to be prepared for that as well. But stuff like that usually comes to you in the moment anyway. So for my interview, I got there, I sat down, there was a few other people waiting as well, and then I got called over and it was just a one-on-one interview. And for this one it was actually a really pleasant and positive experience. So she asked the general questions that I knew were coming anyway. Normally tend to start off with obviously just details about yourself. A question that you often get asked is just generally tell me about yourself. So for that I always go to my uni course. I often mention about my YouTube channel. I do find that's quite an interesting thing to talk about, and that's a good time to talk about any hobbies that you have, any interests that you have, and what you like to do in your spare time. With this interview as well, it was just really laid back, there wasn't too much pressure, and it wasn't just sit there, ask questions, answer questions. We sort of had a bit of chat in between as well, and we did actually find a few common grounds, which was nice. And thinking that these might be people that you do work with in future, it's always good to find common interests and ways that you might maybe fit in with them. So some of the questions you might get asked is, what are your strengths or weaknesses? What does good customer service look like to you? How can you work well in a team or individually? What could you bring to this job? And then she also did ask a couple of questions that aren't generic, and she just threw a couple of random, kind of more fun questions in there. One of them being, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And another one, what animal do you think you would be? So it's nice in a way because it kind of mixes things up a bit and throws something at you that you're not quite expecting, but in a fun way. And this way they get to know a bit more about you and a bit more of your personality to see if you would fit in with the team and the environment. So normally these one-to-one interviews would last anywhere between 10, 15, 20 minutes or something, depending on how in depth they want to go and how much you have to get through with them. So for me, for the Haven one, it was probably around 10 to 15 minutes or something. Generally, she seemed really nice, very welcoming, made me feel at ease, and it was just like a general chat, but it was really nice. So after that, I then got a call back inviting me for an assessment day. So I went along for this, and for this the dress code was more casual, but I still wanted to put in a little bit of effort. So I wore a jumper with one of my pinafores and tights and my boots. Day. I think it was around 10:30 till 2:30. So for this, it was mostly just team building exercises. So all the people that had been invited gathered all together in one room, and there was different stations that we went round. So we were split into groups and went round each station. So the first table we were at was basically a load of categories and pieces of paper on a table with things written on. One section was dates in history and just dates in general. One was to do with football. One was to do with cocktails and alcohol. And the other was to do with X Factor and Love Island contestants. So basically there was a load of options and we had to pick a certain amount, say 10 for each category, the ones that we thought were right. And for the dates, there was a specific event and you had to match the date of when that happened. I went straight down to the X Factor and Love Island section because I knew about that kind of stuff, and a couple of people had already discussed it and put a couple of names in that they thought was right. I finished it off. I knew the topic and what I was kind of talking about, so I was like making sure they were all right. And by the end, they all got counted up and we got a score for the whole table for all the sections. And the section that I was on, the X Factor and Love Island bit, was the only one that got all of them right. So I was like, yes ma'am. But I was pretty confident anyway because I knew all the answers really, so I just put them in. I was like, yeah, I know that's right. Then the next table we went on to, we had a load of mini marshmallows and dry spaghetti pasta. We basically had to use them to make a tower. It had to be stable, but we had to make it as tall as possible without it falling over. So we had to like work as a team to figure out the best way to do that. And then all the different teams kind of got compared to see who could make the tallest one. Unfortunately, we did not win. The next one was more of a practical approach. So within our group, we had one person that was blindfolded, and then we had to use planks of wood to make a path across the floor and retrieve a bowl of water from the opposite side and then bring that back, and we all had to fit on the planks. We couldn't step off them, and we had to guide the person that couldn't see as well. So they were stood in the middle I was on one side, another guy was on the other side, and we were sort of like trying to guide them along, and we all had to be in a line and kind of get to one side and then get back again. I think we did pretty well with that, to be fair. And we were trying to see between the teams who could get the quickest time. Next thing we did was called a human knot. So we all had to stand in a circle, we had to link hands and hold on, and then so that created like a knot between our arms and stuff, and we had to try and untangle ourselves without letting go. And we had a few attempts at it. So the first one we did, we ended up in 2 separate circles, which isn't right because we're meant to be in 1 circle, so that was a fail. We had another attempt and we actually got untangled, but then we had a bit of time spare, so we tried it again and it did not go well. We were in a massive tangle, we couldn't figure out a way to unhook ourselves, and I think we made more of a mess trying to untangle ourselves, which was fun. But I guess with something like that, you're just focusing on the task. You're getting all close and personal with people you don't really know, but it's a good icebreaker really. And then the last one we did, basically we had a piece of paper and we had to figure out a way to make it into a chain just by cutting it so that our whole group could stand in it and literally like put themselves in it. And for this one I was so confused at first. I couldn't get my head around what we were actually trying to figure out. But once I actually understood, it didn't get easier. And because within our group, some of the people had already done this challenge before, they weren't allowed to participate. They could just sit there and watch the rest of us do it. So it turns out there's only 3 of us that haven't ever done this before, so we were the ones to try and figure it out. And I remember making a comment that a piece of paper has never frustrated me more in my life. Honestly, I was just sat there staring at this piece of paper, trying to figure out a way that I could make it work. So I was like, I literally had no idea. But at the same time, I was so determined to actually make it work and make it happen. So we were allowed clues along the way, and we also had 3 pieces of paper, so we had 3 attempts to figure it out. And even then with the clues, it just wasn't helping. I kept saying, I was like, you're saying these things, but it's not helping, I don't understand. So in that sense, it was kind of frustrating, but managed to do it. We actually managed it. I don't know, maybe it was a light bulb moment or something, and something just clicked, and I was like, oh my god. So last piece of paper, because we had 2 attempts already, we put kind of all the steps together that we'd done, that we tried, hadn't worked. We then figured it out. I cut that damn paper, we unravelled it, and it worked. So then we all got up, 2 at a time, we went through that damn piece of paper, our whole team got through. We did it. We did it. Well done. Well done. But I'm not gonna lie, it was really satisfying at the end, knowing that I'd actually done it and actually know how to do it now. I'm like, oh, yes! It's such a good feeling. So after this, we then had a break and then we came back. And for this part, I think it was mostly all the people that were completely new to this. So other people that had maybe done a season at Haven before didn't participate. So basically, we had a map and we had to try and create the route kind of thing. So we didn't have to like draw the route of where to go from A to B. We had to actually create the actual map, which was, again, another really confusing thing at the time. And also, we'd been given envelopes, and one person in the group was a saboteur. So they were trying to trick the other people into thinking that this was right, or try to give ideas saying, oh, this is where this goes. But really, they're trying to make you not complete it. And then as a team, you can discuss and decide to kick someone out if you want to, and then they go sit in the middle and they can't help with anything else until they're brought back in. So I was the first one to go up and check the completed map. So each team had a place where they would go to. They'd have 10 seconds to look at the actual map and then remember that and bring it back to draw on your own map as where pieces and lines would go. I walked up to the map and it looked exactly the same. Very confused as to what I was actually looking for. So I was looking at this map, it was basically black and white, there's lines, there's like blocks that you have to like fill in. And I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. It looks the same. So my 10 seconds was up, I had to go back to the table and I said, "So guys, no idea." And I was like, it just looks the same, I'm so confused. So then another guy went up, looked, he came back and said the same thing. So I know it's not just me and I'm not crazy because there was two of us that didn't have a clue what was going on. So also with that, every time you send up a person to look, you get 30 seconds added onto your time. So it was to try and figure out which team could complete it first, basically. So because of my ridiculous memory that I thought was decent and alright, because obviously with acting, learning lines, I can remember them fine, but with this, no, it was another story. So because of this, it looks like I was the saboteur, which I was not. I was actually trying to figure this map out. Because of that, I got bloody sent out, didn't I? Sent to the middle to just sit while the others figured it out themselves. I'm like, charming. But it's fine. I got let back in. A few minutes later, I got sent out again. It's not my fault, guys. I'm actually trying to figure this out. But no, they're having none of it. Little did I know, the guy next to me who's trying to send me out, he's the bloody saboteur trying to bloody put it on me. The cheek of it, I tell you something. Damn. But to be fair, I always had an inkling that it could have been him. Really, it could have been any one of them. I was just suspicious of everybody, even all the people that were walking around that were actually running the thing. Even they were like in on it and like sort of thinking, oh, are you suspicious? Oh, what if it's that person? Oh, what if it's you? It's like stirring things up and I'm like, I'm already suspicious enough, I don't need your input. You're making me think everyone's a bloody liar and everyone's a bloody conspiracy and I don't know. So basically, I didn't trust a single person in that room. Anyway, it's fair to say our group probably, maybe, did the worst out of everyone. And there was two groups by the end that were maybe a line or two off completing it. We were like a few lines into it. We'd sort of completed a section up here, a section down here, a bit over here. I probably contributed like 5 or 6 lines. I tried. I got one of the lines wrong, which again made me look suspicious like a saboteur, but I legit thought there was a line in one bit, but there wasn't. Wow. But it was quite a good activity. Good obviously for team building, and it was just something different and it was a lot of fun, even though at times it was frustrating. So once we completed that, then that was the end of the day, so then we could all go home. Before we left, as a nice little treat to end it all, a few of the staff got together and made a little rap, basically talking about Carl Legrand and all the stuff you can get up to and different departments, and it was pretty funny, to be fair. But hats off to them for getting in front of 20-30 people or something in the room and just doing that little performance. So then I left and went home, and we were told that we would find out, so this was on a Saturday that I went to this assessment day. We were told we'd find out the following Monday if we'd got it or not. I actually got a phone call just a couple of hours later from when I got home, and I got the call and they told me I got the job. So that was good. So I've completed all my online onboarding stuff, basically things about uniform, all my contact details, bank details, just everything like that you need, obviously, to do the job and get paid and whatnot. So I'm going in on Saturday, presuming it's for some sort of induction thing and finding a bit more about the company, what I'm going to be doing, things like that. And you know what? I was actually quite proud of myself, because often looking back over the years, when I've done group things like this, like team building and activities, when I've been more shy and reserved, I've often found it really difficult to do those sorts of things. I always found it quite hard to participate and actually say my opinions on things. But on this day, I actually felt I got quite involved with it and I was really pleased with myself. And I actually thought within some of the groups, I wasn't the quietest person, which often years back I would have been. Like if there's ever a group of people, I would always be the quietest person. But in this situation, I don't think I was. I felt I got quite involved with everything really and tried my best. So really that's all you can ever ask from yourself, just that you try your best. Try and get involved as much as you can, and even just by doing that, you're pushing out of your comfort zone and you feel good for it. And I found as well that a few people in the teams or the other staff even that were walking around helping, that were actually running the whole thing, were sort of starting to learn my name, and I was like, actually, yeah, this is good. Because we'd all had name tags at the start of the day, because obviously no one knows who you are. But at one point, I think mine had fell off. But even then, some people still knew my name, and I was like, oh, nice. So yeah, that was just the sort of thing that I was kind of just proud about myself, that I managed to go to the thing, I managed to get involved, felt good about myself and better about the whole situation. So yeah, so just got to wait and see what this job is going to involve. I think I'm pretty ready to take it on, see what happens, see what it brings. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, leave any comments down below. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you with another video very soon. Till next time, my little chickadees.